Hello students, let us move ahead with the financial institutions lecture number 2. So already in the first class we have studied the meaning of financial institutions, features of financial institutions, and we have classified the financial institutions as banking and non-banking financial institutions. So moving ahead, banker to the government. So in this function, RBI acts as a banker to the central and state governments. So in what way it is a banker? You all know like how our money is being safeguarded by this bank, right? So as an individual investor, we are all depending upon the banking for majority of the transactions. So similarly, there are state governments as well as central government which will have their individual debt as well as incomes. So all these things will be taken care by this RBI. So it is mandatory for all the governments to keep certain an account with the RBI as well as to keep some reserves also, so that RBI can remit as well as receive payments on behalf of the government, and it can manage those public debts also. And this bank even floats loans and treasury bills on behalf of central and state governments. You know, right? The loans can be given as well as treasury bills. We call it as a T-bill, which is called as money market instrument, which is issued for 90 days. And even as a banker, it advises the government on all monetary and banking matters. So since it is an FX institution, they have to obey the instructions of the RBI in case of any policy construction. The third one is custodian of cash reserves of all commercial banks. Okay, custodian of cash reserves. So all the banks has to keep certain amount of reserves. You might have already heard. Reserve means what? Cash reserve. Certain portion of their cash deposits has to be kept with this RBI. Okay. So for example, there are statutory liquidity ratio, SLR we call it as. There are cash reserve ratio also. Clear? So in SLR, every bank has to maintain in cash or gold at least 25% of its time and demand liabilities. So RBI has the power to change this minimum ratio. As I told you, SLR as of now will be 25%. If it's the case, then it can vary according to the requirements of the monetary cycle. Okay, even cash reserve ratio can be changed, can be vary from this bank. So ultimately, custodian of cash reserves of all commercial bank. You can ask us like why this cash reserve has to be maintained. So it is again one of the important function of banking, that is it comes in the category of controller of credit. So as a quantitative measures, these ratios of cash reserves can be varied. Then the next one is custodian of forex or else foreign exchange reserves. So again, RBI has been entrusted with the responsibility of maintaining the external value of rupee, that is nothing but foreign exchange. And for this purpose, the banks holds foreign exchange reserves, because for export and import, ultimately in their currency, the payment has to be done as well as the receipt has to be received, income has to be received. So the bank exercises a very strict control over the foreign receipts and payments and maintains a rate value of the rupee as per the provisions of International Monetary Fund. Okay, IMF, as per the rules and regulations of IMF, all the payments as well as receipts of the country will be monitored. So it has given the monopoly to control and regulate foreign exchange. So RBI is the only supreme authority to control the foreign exchange reserves for the benefit of the country again. So in moving ahead with this, we also call it as lender of last resort. Why is that so? In case of financial stringencies of the government, such financial help is provided by RBI against what? Against the rediscounting of bills. I think students, all of you are commerce students, and you know what is the discounting of bills of exchange, right? So before the due date, if any emergencies is there for money, then the bills of exchange will be endorsed to RBI here, okay, and the RBI will be paying the money which is required, and of course the discount has to be done. It is a loss for the government, but still in case of emergency they can avail this benefit. That's why it is called as what? In case of emergency or financial stringencies, RBI can come to the rescue. So this is about the lender of last resort. And the last one, which is very important, controller of credit. There are two methods in which the RBI is trying to control the monetary policies of the government, because it is the sole authority wherein it formulates and executes the monetary policy. The credit policies can be different, okay, from time to time, because it has to plan according to the industry as well as trade norms. There might be always two ways in which the RBI is trying to control the monetary system, that is quantitative and qualitative, okay. So in quantitative methods, the bank rate, okay, that is nothing but the base rate, what we call in financial terms. During the loan dispersal, based on this base rates only, the percentage of loan interest will be decided. Then there is open market operations, like wherein RBI buys the government securities from the commercial bank. It indicates that small cash from RBI to the commercial banks will be disbursed. So on the contrary, if RBI sells the government securities to the commercial bank, the commercial banks transfer the cash to the RBI. So when the cash balance is reduced, ultimately adversely attaching the commercial banks to the expand credit. So commercial bank reduces the credit. Either, like if they want to induce the money in the market, they'll surely buy the securities. If they want to diffuse the money from the money market, then absolutely they are going to sell the securities on behalf of commercial banks. So with this, in short, we have taken the functions of RBI, whereas some quantitative measures we have taken, okay. So in case of qualitative measures, some selective credit control will be taken by the RBI. So such as hoarding of essential commodities, speculative activities, okay. So speculative activities are done by RBI so that it will have an impact on the price system of the securities. Just to continue, the purpose for which advances may or may not be made, it is going to fix the margins. The maximum amount of advances to any individual firm or the company it will be deciding. So like this, they are acting as a central banking functions with all these points. Moving ahead with the second classification is supervisory functions. For the development and efficient system of banking in India, it has to supervise as well as it has to take the power to grant the license to the banks. So it is a absolutely tremendous work which involves license to be given for opening the extension counters, new branches, even to close down the existing branches. One has to take the permission from RBI. The inspection, the directive measures, or else the prudent manner in without risk, okay. They have to take those activities wherein they are inspecting all the banking operations. No commercial bank is except to this. Okay, they have to be abide by the rules and regulations of RBI, even in case of licensing or else fixation of loan interest or any other operations with reference to the amalgamation, reconstruction, liquidation. All these areas has to be inspected by RBI. So this comes in the category of supervisory functions. Then even they have a control over NBFCs, and even they can implement the deposit insurance scheme. Okay, what is this deposit insurance scheme? RBI has set up the Deposit Insurance Guarantee Corporation in order to protect the deposits of small depositors. So below 1 lakh are insured with this corporation. For example, in daily newspaper as well as in the news TV, you might have seen there are some credit cooperative societies or else some small banks also which are bankrupted and which are unable to give the deposits of the customers. Then in such cases, what these poor depositors will do, who have saved not maximum money, but even though it is a hard-earned money of their savings. So for which insurance scheme will be provided by this RBI, that is nothing but which is covered under deposit insurance scheme. So if your investment is below 1 lakh, then absolutely you are insured with this insurance scheme. Okay. Then the last one is promotional functions of RBI. So central banking functions all are in technical nature. Supervisory function, then it is developmental functions which RBI is interested in. So since RBI is a central bank of our country and also performs certain promotional functions. So what are they? They are inducing the banking habit, is nothing but savings. They are inducing people to save more. Okay. So then with this absolutely their funds are channelized into the productive sources, capital formation is increased, GDP is increased, so thereby the national growth. So indirectly they are helping for the economic development of the country. Then the second one is providing refinance for exports. For export, already we have seen in the technical part, it is a controller of credit and it absolutely is responsible for the export foreign exchange reserves. So it also acts as a refinancing scheme for exports as well as imports of India. They are trying to help the agriculture as well as farmers with variety of central government schemes. Then even to the small scale industrial unit, there are various industrial developmental banks which they have established, and they are providing indirect finance to the cooperative sector through the formation of other sectors, because cooperative sector does not directly come into the purview of banking. Okay, so the separate Cooperative Societies Act 1912 which acts behind them. So with this act, they are trying to give the cooperation for these agencies also, and even they are exercising the control over monetary and banking system of the country. So RBI encourages, promotes all the promotional activities in various forms like savings, exports, agriculture, small scale industrial units as well as cooperative societies. For example, just to name few of the institutions which are being established only for the promotion of this national development, like Industrial Finance Corporation, IFCI, Deposit Insurance Corporation, State Finance Corporation, Unit Trust of India, NABARD, I think you might have heard, National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. Each of this bank has its separate set of rules and regulations and purview to act for, so that beneficiaries also are different. So in this way, RBI acts as a supreme bank for the promotion as well as it acts as a regulatory authority for the whole economy. The next one is development of banking. What do you mean by development of banking? So it means providing capital for industrial promotion. So loans are provided by the financial institutions for the development of all agriculture, trade, industry, as well as commerce. So the purview of banking is huge, wherein they are trying to cater the needs of variety of people like agriculture, trade, industry, and commerce. And just now whatever institution I have mentioned, okay, so all these are catering the needs of different persons. Then what is the need of this? To cater to the needs of like majority of people. So in underdeveloped countries, please make this as countries, they take care of provisions of growing industry. They'll see to it that the public of the nation is being safeguarded with all medical facilities, infrastructural facilities, as well as insurance facilities. Okay. So in developed countries, it is to maintain high rate of growth of the economy. Please understand, students, there are two sets of economy, developed and underdeveloped countries, in which underdeveloped countries, the banking purpose will be to take care of the provisions of growing industry, but for developed countries, it will be to accelerate the high rate of growth of the economy. If their expectation of growth is 5%, then the next year they may expect it to raise by 1%, that is 6%, 7%, like that. So, but in both the cases, the banking has to be involved. So, with conclusion, Government of India have accelerated the establishment of development banks. Okay, there are various types of developmental banks like IFCI, IDBI, ICICI, NSIC, LIC, Industrial Reconstruction Corporation of India, etc. So after 1948, the number of banks were established. All their main motto is to include maximum of people into this banking sector, and their hard-earned money, that is savings, has to be channelized into the productive avenues so that they are also getting the returns for their investment. At the same time, there is a financial infusion in the market, so thereby the GDP also enhances, and thereby ultimately we are stepping towards the succession of developed economy. So we are going to reach the target with this banking only. Otherwise, absolutely there is more amount of black money which is being circulated, because there is unaccountability for each of the deposits as well as money whatever you have. So with this we can conclude the RBI as a financial institution. So without wasting time, these NBFCs have classified into two types, that is organized and unorganized financial institutions. So organized sector, which means that the development of banks established by the Government of India and state government, and all these sectors, they follow the rules and the guidelines of the government. But whereas unorganized sector, the opposite of the same. Okay. So in this first type is hire purchase finance company. So it is a company which carries on as its principal business hire purchase transactions. So what do you mean by hire purchase? Instead of purchasing any of the assets like machineries or agriculture equipments or anything, you are going to owe these assets for a fixed period for the fixed rent or else installments. Clear? So that is called as hire purchase. The next one is housing finance. So the NBFCs with reference to the principal business as housing finance, it is acting. Okay. So here they only agree for acquisition or construction of houses, including the acquisition or development of plots of land for construction of houses. It's a kind of real estate business, what you can say. Okay, they are going to divide the plots for sale as well as registration and everything. All they will take care of all these sorts of things Then ultimately their main purpose will be housing finance as a principal business. Then equipment leasing. The leasing will be the prior business of this NBFCs. Then investment companies, they only carry on as its principal business the acquisition of securities, in which investment you can invest, where you can get high rate of returns, that will be decided. In loan company, which carries as its principal business and that providing the finance, that is loans and advances to the needy. And then next one is mutual benefit companies, that is Nidhi company. It means any company which is notified by the central government under section 620 of Companies Act. So mutual benefit companies. Then miscellaneous and non-banking companies. Then it comes residuary companies. Sorry, there is a chit fund, or else it is also called as miscellaneous non-banking company, wherein they collect the subscriptions from specified number of subscribers periodically and in turn distributes the same as prizes amongst them. Okay, so chit fund, there is a collection from majority of people of the groups and the same will be distributed as a prizes. Chit fund, like it's just like a lottery what they are making. The chits will be drawn each month or as per the decided dates, then the prizes will be allotted to them. Then the last one is residuary NBFCs, is a company which receives deposits under any scheme by way of subscriptions or contributions and does not fall in any type of the above categories. So except to all these 7, wherein even they receives deposits under such scheme by way of subscriptions or contributions and does not fall in any of the above categories. So that is called as residuary NBFCs. So the new measures have been directed towards NBFCs which accepts the public deposit. So following are some of the important regulations applicable to them. The first one is net owned fund. Okay, so according to the rules, they need to have a certificate of registration from RBI, and they should have public deposit should have minimum net owned fund of rupees 25 lakhs. How much is the net owned fund? 25 lakhs. And since has been raised to 2 crore in respect of newly formed company. So recently it is rupees 2 crore in respect of newly formed NBFC. So earlier it was 25 lakhs, but now it has raised to 2 crore. Then the next one is regarding the liquid assets, what condition they have. They need to maintain at least 15% of the value of NBFCs. The public deposits are required to maintain at least 15% of the value of NBFCs and similar to SLR requirements of the bank. That is minimum reserves they have to keep, that is 15%. Then prudential norms, that is regarding the classification of assets into standard, substandard and doubtful and loss assets. It is nothing but the assets which we classify under NPA, non-performing assets. Okay, so with reference to this loan given, the same commercial banks, whatever policies they are applying for, based on the period of non-payment of these loans, they are classifying these loans only as standard, substandard, doubtful and loss assets. The similar is applied to NBFCs also. So a minimum capital adequacy of 15% should be maintained here. How much? 15% again. Then the next measure is reserve fund. So how much is the reserve fund ratio? That is 20% of net profit every year. Okay, 20% of net profit must be transferred to every year to statutory reserve fund SLR before declaring and dividend. The last one is period of deposit. All NBFCs accept deposits from public can be only between 1 and 3 years. They can accept the deposit not as and when they are accepting, but it should be like 3 once in only between 1 and 3 years they can accept the deposit. And what is the quantum of deposits related to its own funds? This is depending upon the type of NBFCs and credit rating. The higher is the credit rating, the larger is the quantum of maximum public deposit and vice versa. Okay, so the quantum of deposits are based on the credit rating. So higher, if they have a credit rating high, then absolutely they can accept the deposits also more, because according to the deposits they have to give the returns also, right? So NBFC is being abided by this rule. So at present, the maximum deposit permissible for leasing companies is 4 times of net owned fund. For example, if it is 2 crore, 4 times of the same, it is 8 crores, right? Permissible for the lease companies. And if it is loan companies, up to 2 to 5 times of their net owned fund. So I hope this is clear. The new measures are nothing but how much is the description of their assets as well as liabilities and how they have to carry on the same. Okay. So what is the role of NBFCs in society as well as accelerating the phase of industrial finance? Because they try to bridge the audit gaps in several sectors. Okay. So what is the role says? The first one is it reduces hoarding. Okay. What do you mean by this? They collect the savings of the people and lend to various parties, right? Like any other commercial bank. So in this way, they are trying to bring closer the savers and the lenders together. So which promotes saving and investment habits among the people as well as reduce hoarding. They are not keeping their money idle. So it is absolutely invested in one or the other way. And they are helping the business sector with the finance, which is the lifeblood of every business. In one or the other way, the finance is induced into the sectors. Okay. And they are even helping central, state and local government. Okay, due to the welfare state functions, the activities of the government have to be increased manifold, so which necessitates huge funds. So then in that case, NBFCs help the central and state government by purchasing their bonds and by selling and purchasing the securities of the government. So with this, even they are helping the government also. They provide liquidity, because when they convert an asset into cash easily, they can quickly, without loss of value in terms of money also, they can convert. So easy convertibility with short term as well as medium term securities. Then brokers of loanable funds. In what way they are acting as a brokers? Because they act as the intermediaries between the ultimate saver and the ultimate investor. So it's a bridge gap, right? So with this, they're acting as a loanable funds. I think with this we can conclude in short the financial institution as RBI as well as NBFCs as a financial institution which is controlling as well as which is again an important part of the economic system in the country. Okay, thank you.